race analyst, PhD, proving hate and degradation, and I've been watching the proceedings for the Ahmaud Arberry trial live, and some recorded. I actually ran my 2 miles on that day in 2019 when everyone, their collective spirits, who felt the pain and anguish of his murder, took to the sidewalks and roads and streets and ran as he ran. Those who ran with a sense of being free and able to do as they please without harming others, being free. I ran my 2 miles plus wearing a ski mask. I'll post that later. I wanted to look as, let's say, enticing as possible for anyone likened to those heathens who chased and murdered Arberry. I ran in my ski mask and a hoodie at the same time. 2 hours away from the site Ahmaud Arberry was murdered. So that means in the South, and also in a community very similar to the community Ahmaud Arberry ran in that my own community, although a bit more seemingly diverse, growingly so, but not from the time I arrived. It was not that diverse. I was the only person of African descent on my block, and a semi-rural block at that. But like Ahmaud Arberry, I've had my experiences in my own neighborhood, being that unfamiliar figure. There was an occasion I actually had what looked to be an 80-something-year-old gentleman in one of those old mini pickup trucks following me from my own neighborhood. There happened to have been a helicopter, very rare in the neighborhood, and I think he may have thought, my goodness, I found him, who they're looking for. He was behind me for the mile up the hill where I live, from there downhill in an hour, 1 hour, not 1 hour, 1 mile down the hill. I stay uphill. This guy is following me, and so I pull into a mini mall area, and he follows me in there, circles around, looks and looks. I pull out of a parking spot that I had pulled into, and he went his way, and I backed up and went my way, right behind him. I followed him for a bit, didn't know what it felt like. But yeah, Ahmaud Arberry was the victim of profiling and bigotry and racism. And it's so good to see people represented outdoors and inside of the court. And I don't have to tell you about some of the hemming and hawing at people like Reverend Jesse Jackson and Reverend Al Sharpton presenting themselves, making this scene even more of a scene. So, as this video concludes, be yourself. Unlike those in the South, I'm speaking of men of African descent, a lot of times they work overtime to make sure they are quote-unquote presentable, dressing and mannered in a way that doesn't cause waves or attacks their personhood of being an African of America. So they acquiesce a bit and portray the upstanding, well-groomed and mannered, in many cases, reverends. So you find in the South a lot of people with that title of reverend, and those in their 40s and 50s and 60s, some of them may have on their suits in inopportune times when unnecessary. But as we know, profiling is beyond, oh, it's not funny, but it's beyond attire. Just like the seeds of hate and degradation are beyond mere appearance. People have issues, and they are bred within people who basically haven't been raised right. And we know the saying, you're not born a racist or a bigot or as insecure and fearful as these three spawnings of something beneath humanity. But again, at 7 minutes, concluding, race analyst, PhD, proving hate and degradation. All right. About to run in honor of Mr. Ahmaud Arberry, about 2 hours away from Savannah, so in the South. 2.3 mile run in honor. I'll put the video on pause, and it's time to start my run.